All right, welcome. Today we're going to take a look at a custom die cut project, and I'm going to take the walkthrough from the design layout process all the way through prototype die cutting on a laser cutter. Today this is a fairly simple one to start, but this technique can be applied to a lot of different things: folders, custom cut labels, all sorts of things. So what I have is, this has not been trimmed down and finished yet, but basically I have a flat that I've started with the intent that this would be sort of a 6x9" large style postcard mailer that would have a front on it, sort of a party invite for St. Patty's Day. And I had a picture that I actually shot on St. Patrick's Day with my grandfather's old pub hat, Mooney's Pub from Northeast Minneapolis, which no longer exists. So I did these cards 2 up on a 13x19 80-pound stock. I then went through a die cut process utilizing a laser cutter, laser engraver, after trimming a sheet halfway down. Then went through and added a score line with our manual scoring machine. The card could fold appropriately. The idea is, what we have the face showing through from the front, and inside the face is revealed. So I'll walk through this process today. Before we go ahead, I want to show you a couple of things up close. Here we have a 2-up spread, so I wanted to show that first. What I did is I used this as a guide to most efficiently impose my project to start. So 2 copies up, basically on the front, 2 on the back. Now it's important to note that this project was set up to print duplex head to toe. By that, what I mean is I had to account for the spatial relationship. When it folds over, I need the other side to be essentially upside down so that it would look correct if we were to physically be folding the card. So I started with that. The next example I'll show is this. Now you'll see on our cutter in a second, our laser cutter bed is only capable of outputting up to 12 by 24 in size. So this started out in the 13 by 19 sheet format. I had to cut that in half first so that I could go through and basically laser cut these out. The other thing that I did with this, which I think is worth looking at, is I kind of created 2 versions, and I'll show this in the design process. This version actually has the die outline. I made it black so I could really see it well. That aided in a cutting guide for precision when I went through and actually die cut it. So here's an example of one that's been pre-score tested and folded, but this had the cutout. You can kind of see on this one that the outline didn't get cut perfectly precise. It took a few tests to go through on the die cutter. But basically I made sure I tested this really well so that it would actually fold up and I would get the result that I'm seeking ahead of actually going and making it. Here's the finished product. So in this version, I went through and actually printed it out clean to start. This one right here is finished product, trimmed, ready to go. So basically what I started out with was the flat as is. And you'll notice that this one is clean. There's nothing at all in the image area because I'd already done my setup on the cutter and got my cut perfect. So then I load it in the die and just make it on a clean sheet. When I'm done, this was cut out. Now this started out as a stack, which I scored, but basically after scoring all the sheets, I then loaded them in the cutter and did a standard 4-size trim or 4-side trim, and when complete, we had the card that you see in front of you.